Back with our law and justice lead and Elon Musk's favorite story. A new Justice Department memo reveals that the Justice Department has no evidence that convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein blackmailed powerful people or kept a client list or was murdered in prison. The memo, first reported by Axios, is a sharp turn from the Trump administration's insistence that there was much more to uncover. Even Attorney General Pam Bondi pushed that theory while in office. Take a look.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
But today, the White House says she didn't really mean to suggest that the list itself was on her desk.
She was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that.
Joining us now to discuss CNN's Evan Perez and Axios' Alex Eisenstadt, who broke the story on Axios. And Alex, I have to say, I'm with the people that still have questions about this. I kind of don't buy the nothing to see here. And I don't know that the Justice Department helped their case. They released this video. Let's show it. It shows no one entered the area surrounding Epstein's cell in the hours before he died. But there's something significant about this videotape. What is it?
Well, here's one thing that some people on the internet are picking up on, which is that there is about a minute missing between 11:58 p.m. 58 seconds and 12 a.m. the night that Epstein was apparently killed. Or died. And so
the official story is that he died by suicide. That's correct. What then Trump Attorney General Bill Barr said a few years ago.
Died. And so now there are, it's going to intensify more conspiracy theories about what happened the night of Epstein's death. And of course, you have the DOJ and FBI now, which are trying to extinguish a lot of these conspiracy theories. But that's not happened today online. If you look at the MAGAverse, they're inflamed about this.
Well, I mean, no offense to Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, but they had a hand in igniting some of these conflagrations. I mean, in February, the White House invited these conservative MAGA influencers to get a first look at the declassified documents related to the Epstein case. Look at that, all those binders. They gave them binders that said Epstein Files Phase 1. And Evan, at the time, you wrote that this is something of a self-own for the Justice Department. Why?
It absolutely was. Those binders, those documents in those binders, all of that was public for years. And that's what the influencers found out. When they opened it up, they're like, wait a minute, all of this stuff has been out there. And the Justice Department could have helped themselves and perhaps reduce the embarrassment if they had just picked up the phone and talked to some of the prosecutors in New York and some of the FBI agents who had done this case, and they could have told them all of this stuff has been out there. But you know why they didn't do that is because they fired all these people. So they didn't have anybody to talk to, right? And so, this is something that they have absolutely fanned. And so now they own this. And that is part of the problem here. And they've been struggling with what to do about this, Jake, for some time, because agents spent overnight shifts redacting these documents, and then what they ended up with were pages that were filled with blackout.
Yeah.
They cannot release it because it would re-victimize some of the victims. Under federal law, there's a Privacy Act. So that's what they were facing. They were realizing that they were going to release a bunch of black pages that would have only fanned the conspiracy.
And Alex, a lot of people in the MAGA world are very upset, very disappointed with Attorney General Bondi, very upset with the director and deputy director of the FBI, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. Mike Lindell of MyPillow fame posted on X, as trusted voices like Bongino, Kash, and Bondi align with the official story, many are asking who's still willing to demand real answers. Laura Loomer, who I only cite because apparently she has influence with President Trump.
Gets people fired.
She got National Security Council people fired. She posted, if Attorney General Bondi doesn't get fired over this Epstein memo, people are going to be so black-pilled. They were obviously hoping for a different outcome. And I have to say, Alex, I find it hard to believe that we still don't know so much about this case.
Yeah, and I don't think the conspiracy theories are ever going to stop. But big picture, this is sort of what happens when you have the MAGA influencerization of the DOJ and the FBI, right? You put Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, who before going into the FBI were MAGA influencers.
Talking about this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now they come in and there are high expectations. They were going to deliver, and they came up empty-handed. And so there's a lot of anger about that. And the MAGA universe is not happy today.
Well, after months of teasing the release of new information about the accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein and his alleged client list, the Justice Department, well, they're now saying that no evidence or such a list actually existed, or that Epstein was murdered. The DOJ saying it does not plan to release any new documents on the matter, and writing today in a memo, quote, "There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged parties." Joining me now is CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez and CNN legal analyst Elliot Williams. Evan, you've reported on this for, I think, years on some level now.
Right.
Tell us how this memo kind of came to be, how this case became such a fixation.
Well, the case became a fixation in part because the Attorney General and other people around President Trump have fanned the flames of this conspiracy, that there was some bombshell hidden in these Epstein documents. And everyone has known, certainly a lot of the documents that the Justice Department has been looking at, they've been out in public already for years, because you remember some of his co-defendants went on trial after his 2019 suicide. So this is no surprise to anyone who's been paying attention, but for people inside the Justice Department who certainly encourage this kind of belief out there, they're now having to admit that there's really no there. And you see in the memo, it says the systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions, or that he was murdered. Again, all of these things were known. It's just that there was a certain part of the internet, and certainly on Twitter, a lot of MAGA believers who believed that there was something here that was being hidden.
Yeah, and look, the White House, I think on some level, was active participants at some elements of those corners of the internet. What did the White House say about this case earlier today?
Well, today they had to react to the fact that just a couple of months ago, the Attorney General on Fox News seemed to indicate that there was a client list sitting on her desk. And now what they're saying, what she's referring to is just that she was looking at the larger number of documents that were out there. And again, they held an event at the White House where they brought in all the MAGA influencers to look at these binders, which ended up being documents that had been on the internet and had been available publicly for years.
Elliot, before I ask you a question, I want to play that sound that Evan was just talking about. Take a listen.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Elliot, you used to work for the Justice Department, and Attorney General saying that, and then a memo like this coming into the public sphere. What does it tell you about what happened here?
It's embarrassing what happened here, Phil. Look, the Attorney General, and this is to Evan's point a moment ago, sort of fanned the flames of these truly bonkers, I won't say the full word, conspiracy theories that have been allowed to infiltrate not just American life, but also the government at the highest levels. There are basic facts here that we ought to accept. Number one, Jeffrey Epstein did really bad things to many people. And number two, Jeffrey Epstein killed himself in prison before he could face trial. Those are facts. That is truth. Any suggestion to the contrary is simply not held by serious people. And the Attorney General herself, quite frankly, is responsible for allowing some of this nonsense to get out there. Now, thankfully, the Justice Department has put this memorandum out there, but this is just a bad look for the Justice Department. It's actually quite shameful.
Elliot, is it normal for DOJ to release a memo like this?
It really isn't, Phil, only because the memorandum is really pushing back against conspiracy theories. It's not explaining why someone wasn't charged with a crime, or explaining why someone was charged with a crime, or explaining the facts of the case. It is merely put out there to debunk some of this nonsense that the Attorney General actually helped fan the flames up by handing these memos out, these binders out at the White House and so on. So no, it is not common at all. Certainly the Justice Department makes public statements all the time. They make public statements to our reporters like Evan Perez, and that's fine. But pushing back on conspiracy theories is not a core competency of any member of the Justice Department, and quite frankly, it should not be.
Evan, real quick before I let you go, any repercussions for the Attorney General on this?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can see people on the right, including Lara Loomer, she's calling for the Attorney General to be fired. This is not over because the fact that these documents are not out means that these conspiracies will live on.